Hey everyone, it's Valkenine Designs and I'm back with Must-Have Tools Part 1. I think I've done a video like this before, but I decided to redo it and refresh it for the people who are new to the page. So one of the first tools or things that I use most on my desk is lined paper or graphed paper such as this. This helps me with my designs and finding out stone placement and also planning out my framework for my designs. So you can see some of my past designs here. You might recognize some of these if you follow my social media and see the releases on there. But yeah, this lined paper you can find pretty much anywhere. You can find it at Walmart, Amazon, wherever you like to get your stuff from. Craft supply stores, like your local craft stores, will have it as well. So if you want to support local, just look for it at your local supply stores as well. So then the next thing I wanted to get into, this is kind of mostly for like wire wrapping. This is also, applicable to silversmithing, but this is like kind of like a wire wrapping must-have tools. I'll do some silversmithing ones as well in the future. So the first thing I wanted to get into are some of the most common pliers that I work with. I use all of these all the time. This one you've seen in a lot of my other videos. I'll still leave Rio item numbers for all of these in the description. But yeah, so this first pair is the nylon tipped pliers. You can replace these nylon tips. Those little screws come out and you can take the tips off and put them back on. This is the original pair of tips that came on the plier. I've had these for well over a year now, and so they're great and they last a long time. You don't have to replace the tips that often. I also use needle nose pliers quite often. These are kind of a larger set. I do have a smaller set that I'll show you later, but yeah, I have pretty large hands, so I like the larger sets. They just, sit better in my hands and stuff too, and work better for myself. But there's various different sizes as well, so check out what Rio Grande or Stoller or any of your other craft supply stores will most likely have all of these tools as well. So those were the needle nose pliers. I also like using the round nose pliers. These are great for curling like little loops around the bends there. They're round all the way around, and so you can pinch a wire like in between them or curl the wire around that nose. It's also great for reaching into some smaller, harder to get areas. These are the flat nose pliers. These are great for just general grabbing and pulling, I guess. And they're also really good for, when you just need to kind of have like a wider grip area when you're pulling on some wires or something like that. And then these are flush cutters. There's different types of flush cutters out there, and these are just some that I've found that work really well. I got the info for these from Miles McDonald, and he has it on his site. I will also leave the Rio item number down in the description and stuff. The flush cutters are super awesome. You need them for cutting your wires, and you can cut various like thinner sheet metal, not big pieces of metal. You can't cut like a big sheet with it, but you could cut some like little bits of like solder chunks off with it too. And so these are the smaller pliers that I was mentioning earlier. These are all the same tips as before. There's even like a small wire clipper one that I've broken. So I do recommend getting the larger wire cutters and not using the small one. This is another organization tool that I just can't live without. This is actually a earring rack. So yeah, I found this on Rio and I thought it would just work well for the pliers, and it turns out it did. I've also used it for some displays at vending shows, but I don't really do many earrings, so I haven't used it often. But it fits all of my pliers very neatly and just sits right on my desk and keeps them easy to reach. And so definitely something to consider getting. The next thing I wanted to go into is a little bit about my flex shaft setup. You don't necessarily have to get a Foredom flex shaft or any of the other flex shaft brands. I think I have the Prodigy. I have the Prodigy brand myself. You can use just a rotary tool, and all of these tips will also be applicable for the rotary tool. The reason jewelers prefer a flex shaft is because of the speed pedal that I'll talk a little bit more about later. So the first organizational tool for the flex shaft tips that you're going to want to get is this kind of rotating stand. This comes with the Prodigy kit that I got. I'll leave a link for that in the description. So you can at least get one with your flex shaft setup. This is great for organizing all of your tips. As you can see, I have various different burrs and tools. I need to reorganize them because I had all of the grits for like my polishing wheels, set up together, and, you know, in the right order. They're a little unorganized right now. One thing I saw that was great from Jack Hoke is that he has a couple of different ones of those for varying different grits and like different types of like softer polishing pads and stuff. And so this is why people like the flex shaft, because you can do small, slow rotations by applying slight pressure to the foot pedal, and then if you apply more pressure, you will get a higher RPM on your flex shaft or your rotary tool. And that's why people like the Foredom. They also like the Foredom because you can take the handles off, as you see here, and replace them with other handles, such as the hammer tip. I don't use this too terribly much because I don't have the rest of the tips that I want for it, like smaller tips for detailing and stuff, so in the future I'm going to be using it more. But yeah, you basically just line up the little pin mark that you can see on the inside, and then there's also a little like notch on the pin at the end of the flex shaft tube, and then you just push that into your handle and you're ready to rock and roll again. And again, people really mainly prefer this just because of the variability in speed that really helps with polishing and all sorts of other things. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. I'll leave item numbers for all of these in the description. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, let me know, and let me know what else you guys want to see from the channel. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.